and welcome. This is Sunrise, and I am Alero Edu.
I hope the sun has risen on your end. I'm Akinde. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Are you feeling Christmas in the air?
No.
Uh-oh.
The last time I felt Christmas in the air was maybe in the 90s. Today...
When you were a little boy.
Christmas just happens on you these days. In fact, these days,
it's a pity.
When people think about Christmas, they're thinking more of the expenses. It's only the children that are, really looking at it. Well,
Christmas is really a time for children, let's face it.
Well, yeah, but it's also a time for commercial activity.
Yes, people are busy ordering turkeys and ordering chickens and buying rice.
I just placed my order as well, so...
Good, good.
At least once in a while.
In the course of the week, all we heard was judgment days, tribunal, dads, court, sacks days, court. And it just crossed my mind. So why did Nigeria waste all that money on the elections in March?
How much is that?
355 billion.
Naira.
Yeah, for elections. Only for the courts to then decide who our rulers will be. Now, it doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what I've also found in that thing that you just said? Before now, we had issues of overvoting, ballot box snatching, etc., etc., etc.
Results filled before elections.
No, I mean, those ones are the new improved electoral malpractices. But before now, what we had was overvoting, snatching ballot boxes, scattering the stronghold of your enemy or your opponent and all those things. But today, what I have found, in most, if not all of the cases, maybe on very sparsely, did we hear cases of overvoting. Very sparsely did anyone question the results of the votes. But they now question technicalities more. Pre-election
many of them are pre-election matters.
Pre-election matters. If I was Dr. Obani yesterday, I was saying there are 3 categories of election matters. It's pre-election matters. There's post-election matters. Then there is pre- and post-election matters.
Okay, all right.
So a pre-election matter is one that once the elections has taken place, forget it. You can't do anything about it. What were you waiting for? You should have dealt with it at the time.
I can't wait for the day when once a governor or a president is sworn in, that's what happens. No, he has been sworn in, the matter is closed. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're coming there. So the second issue is post-election. So it's only after elections have held that can be an issue.
Yeah.
Now, a pre- and post-election matter is one that can be dealt with either before the election or after the election. That's one of the arguments. So
that one is not time-bound?
That's one of the issues. But no, it's still time-bound. Has to happen within X number of months or days.
Yes, according to the electoral,
180 days. Now, the case of Kano, for instance, and I think Plateau as well, I'm not very sure now, is that of membership of a political party. Now, the appeal court ruled that, look, contesting for, that's the Kano case, contesting for an election on the platform of a political party means, first of all, you have to be a member of that political party.
Yes.
So if you are not a member of that political party and you won the election and the case is brought as it has been brought, you can't win an election that you did not participate in.
Amechi did.
Which is the case in the... as in, on the ballot paper, the picture of the individual is not the one on the ballot. It's the identity of the political party.
Oh, boy.
But you are not a member of that political party at the time of the election. So you didn't participate in the election.
Full stop.
According to the ruling of the electoral, the appeal court
tribunal,
on the issue.
Yeah.
So, but you see, to the issue that you're talking about, it's one of the matters that's now troubling the entire electoral ecosystem in the country. What happens in the US? There's general ballots, And then there's Electoral College.
Electoral College.
Now, I am still trying to understand how Mrs. Clinton won
the general
votes,
but lost
the Electoral
at the college.
Is it the same thing that is happening here now? Where?
Since you have brought in the United States, in the course of the week as well, all this talk about, what was it again? The budgets of, states and all that, and all the figures that came into the public domain got me thinking. We imported this democracy thing from the United States. Why don't we just take it fully, wholly, and own it and practice it the way the owner practices it? And I'm saying that in light of the fact of that video that resurfaced in the course of this week on social media about Mrs. Obama when she was talking to Oprah and saying they would count the peanuts that we ate and gave our guests and charge it to us at the end of the month. So if governors had to pay for all the food that they gave their guests and that they ate themselves, would they spend the kind of money that we hear that they spend on feeding in a period of 1 month or 2 months? Hundreds of millions. If it was their money, would they spend it that way?
You remember what former President Obasanjo said? I think it was also in the course of the week, that democracy, as is being practiced here, is not good for us. Western or liberal democracy is not working for us in
We should
Africa.
have our own homegrown.
We should have our own homegrown democracy.
So our own homegrown insinuates that the taxpayer should pay for everything.
Be coming
down.
Now,
Coming down.
Samadi Emi came on our program twice and said the same thing. We are trying to superimpose one system of government or system of leadership on another that do not have anything connecting them. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people, and all of that.
We don't even do by the people.
Oh, I'm coming. The monarchical system,
yes,
the authoritarian system, so to speak, that we use in Africa. Please tell me, how does it fit in the jigsaw puzzle of democracy? It does not. So what happens is we're trying to superimpose democracy on our own African leadership system that do not look
which is the
same.
system of, the head. Kabiesi.
The imam, the oba, the obi, the ogwefi. Everyone has to look up to someone.
Yes.
In democracy, in fact, the leader in a democracy
is the servant.
Exactly.
The leader is the servant.
So that is the number one problem.
Yes.
The cultural dissonance.
Which is why our leaders never see themselves as servants of the people.
As little as a corporal in the police. Once you wear that uniform, you are a boss.
Of course.
All of that should be reversed. So to the question that you're raising, the assumption is that once you get into office, you're the king. Everyone else must serve you.
And you must do exactly as you please.
Forgetting that it's different in the African system where there is a family. They call them the royal families. Is there a royal family for democracy? I'm trying to understand that.
Well, it's good that all these figures are coming out now.
You see,
maybe the National Assemblies will now think about putting a cap to all this. No. Oh, it's Ramfac that does it.
Yes.
Yes. Put a cap to it so that taxpayers don't feel hard done by paying so much money for the governor frolicking in Government House and entertaining all comers.
And including
with taxpayers' money.
The people who work in those organizations as well. I'm wondering, But hey, you know what? It's a long.
Buying one car for 440 million naira.
No, you can't buy. How?
One bulletproof SUV, 440.
Bentley? Is it a Rolls Royce?
Well, don't ask me. I don't know, but that's the figure that was quoted in the course of the week. Yes, the menu. Transparency in government spending. Very aptly, we're going there. We're going there full time.
Well, it goes back. The second one is also one of the things that you discussed that's troubled you all week. How do we reduce corruption in the judiciary? Particularly, how do we insulate the judiciary from all of these, Milady?
Poor people. Plight of Nigerian asylum seekers. Oh, that's another thing that was trending.
Yeah. Lifestyle today is talking about challenges of a blended family. Do you even know what a blended family is?
I don't.
It's not the blender, please. Not that one. But, you know, stick around.
Then Artist of the Week, as usual, to close today's program. So that's our lineup for today. So get your coffee, your cocoa.
Yes, and the cocoa. You know, I have a new, what's it called now? Don't go there. I'll tell you some other time. In the meantime, let's do this.
An office, if it is not to make a difference, and you cannot make, one of the most important instruments that we have is budget. It's so important that it forms the basis for impeachment of a president for going outside what has been appropriated. It is that important. And yet such an important document, if you study any budget, it is a formality. It's a piece of paper that actually means nothing. When you see that as the foundation, you now come to phase 2, which is the spending. A budget is an instrument that gives you the avenue to spend the money you want to spend. And when that avenue is a formality, it means that you just want something that allows you to get access to the money, and you do it as you wish. And your intendment cannot be for the development and good governance. It has to be for politics, where you look for money to keep for election. It's a vicious circle that unless we actually sit down and painstakingly listen and follow, we would keep having this discussion that we're having.
Well, my apologies. You know, what you just said now about politics being an opportunity or an avenue to just look for money for elections is one of the troubling issues that we have to raise in the course of the week. But let's take Dr. Adeoye's opening comments on this issue. Dr. Adeoye, one of the challenges that we've had over time, and a number of civil society organizations have tried to make an issue of it, is transparency in government spending. There's this state's audit efficacy report, usually produced by PLSI, led by one civil society organization in the country. And they've been doing this for a few years. I don't know if you have seen any of those. In the current one, Lagos State, for instance, is said to be number 18 on the list. And you wouldn't even believe, I think it was, is it Akwa Ibom or so, is topping that list. So I'm wondering, first of all, in terms of transparency in government, what are your thoughts? How well would you say we're doing?
Okay, like my friend, the architect, mentioned, he was talking about foundation. The first thing we need to consider before you go to transparency and accountability is to look at the 8 components of good governance principles. So you must start from efficiency and effectiveness, because transparency and accountability is coming as number 7 and 8. And that was the whole thing I did during my PhD research across different continents. Now, if you don't have efficient and effective people in government, forget about transparency and accountability. Wow. It means that you are having round peg in round holes. It means that you have people who know how to do things according to laid down principles, or people who know what to do even if it is not written down in any document. Number 2 is rule of law. If you don't have rule of law, forget about transparency and accountability. The third principle is consensus-oriented. Architect Etuk was mentioning about budget as a means to just get money. Now, consensus-oriented means that you're going to ask people, for those of you at channels environment, government and say, oh, I want to spend 10 billion in your area to build a hall. You are going to say, no, we need road and water. So you've got to carry the people along to decide what they want from you. Number 4 principle is participation. You've got to engage everybody, whether literate or illiterate, young and old, students and working class, private sector and public sector people. And then the 5th principle is inclusiveness. You have to include everybody. And then number 6 is equity. Take, for instance, in my state, if you budget 60 billion to do projects in my state, and then you say, okay, I'm from the Central. The Central is the largest portion, which is Egbaland, Abeokuta, and the rest. And you say, okay, we spent 30 billion in Egbaland, and then we go to Ogo East, Ijebu and Remo side, and you say, oh, we're going to put 29.5 billion there. And you say, Ogo West, Yewa people, where are you people going? You don't need road, we're not going to give you. Do we need to do anything in your school? No, we're not going to do it. After all, you are close to the border. So continue to do smuggling. And then we spend 500 million to go and build palaces for kings there. So it means that there is no equity in that. Before you now talk about transparency, wow. Transparency is talking about you telling us how much you have received, how much income you have made, and then you give what we call notes to the accounts. Breakdown, taxes, federal allocation, and then you break down the taxes. Pay as you earn, stamp duty, land approvals, licensing, advertisement. And then we now go to accountability. In accountability, it is expected that every state should legislate that state government must disclose on the internet for everyone with the Freedom of Information Bill that this month we have spent 20 billion and then 10 billion on roads, 5 billion on salaries, and 5 billion on education. And then the road, you're going to give us and say, Ikorodu Road to Western Avenue to Pangrove. This is how much we have spent. You put picture for us to see. You talk about salaries. We have paid 5 billion. You give us the list. 1,000 people have
Dr.
been paid.
Dave, just a moment. There's something you said earlier that's I'm very, very much interested in checking, and of course, Mr. Ayetuki may also want to speak to it. I think it was the 3rd or the 4th on the list. You talked about consensus-oriented spending.
Oh, yes.
Now, you said that ideally, before the spendings would happen, there should be consensus. From what you have seen in our nation today, from 1960 until now, has that consensus ever happened? How does government arrive at that consensus? Because it sounds like you're saying that without that consensus, in an ideal situation, government should not spend. That's the way it's sounding. And it makes sense because they are supposed to be serving the people. That's why they call them civil servants or public servants. The people are the king. So how, in your opinion, would you say that consensus has happened, if ever?
Okay, they pretend that it is happening, but in actual fact, it is not happening. Now, there is what they call town hall meeting on every budget at the state level, where the government is supposed to come, make a public presentation, and then people come to say, oh no, you involve traditional rulers, civil society, professional bodies. But again, the people that ought to do the work of ensuring the third principles of good governance is adhered to is the lawmaker. Therefore, so if you look at every state, for example, we have 3 senators covering the entire state. Now, when the federal government, which is the executive arm of government, brings the budget forward into the National Assembly, it is expected of them to say, Mr. President, sorry, you said you were going to build hospital in so-so-so state. Can I tell you, we already have 3 hospitals in that place. The problem of that place now is that we don't have a good roads. I'll give you an example. In my town, in Abeokuta, we have a Federal University of Agriculture. You cannot drive from a place called Camp to Federal University of Agriculture without repairing that car after 2 weeks. I used to be a lecturer in that university after my PhD. I absconded because the roads are bad. And you know, I don't know how people go home to sleep. So consensus-oriented is a place where the lawmakers are not selfish, but rather than do their job, they pad the budget. I'll give you another example. In my state, the only train station that is effective is the Wole Soyinka train station in Abeokuta. There is no good road to that train station. No good road.
Okay.
And there are about 4 roads that lead to that train station. So the lawmakers, I don't know what they are doing.
Okay.
You're supposed to tell your governor and say,
yes.
look, put this.
Yeah,
this is what we do.
Dr. Adeoye, I think I like the way you put it, where you said they pretend. Yeah. I'm just wondering how does that pretense work? Yeah. If you agree with him, Mr. Nyeto. Because just a second, yes. The State House of Assembly receives the budget from the governor. Yeah. What is expected? Yeah. In the name of consensus orientation?
I'll tell you 2 things. The first is that during the week, virtually every day, I sit down here and the weekends, I watch you people talk to people that I know, call politicians. I know them. They are my friends, like Dr. Adeoye, where we work together, you know, so it's good you brought us together here. I know who you are. We sit down at home. And you're telling me, bros, leave that thing. You know, with the go election, I need money. Blah, 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 blah. Then you come on television and you start to pontificate. You know, we must understand that in serving the people, we must do this and that. And I'm sitting down like is that for real? What's going on? So we pretend for the people because the people pretend for the politicians. So it's like 2 can play. I've just come in from contesting an election. And the question is, what did I meet with the people? I'll tell you something that I did. Out of 2,226 villages in Akwa Ibom State, villages, I was able to get to a minimum of 2,000 where I went with a crew and sat down for up to 4 hours in clusters where I listened to the problem of every village, documented, NTA crew, they came with me. Some of my supporters left me. You know why? Abongo, do you want to win election? What are you doing? Leave this thing. Let us do rallies and we'll get crowd and we move the people, mobilize the people and get votes. And I asked them, am I not supposed to serve the people? How can I serve you, my sister Alero, when I don't know what your problem is? And the people say, this man wants to do grammar. Leave him alone. Let's go to people who are serious about the election.
Go and lecture in the university.
Go and lecture in the university. You see, we could laugh at this. That is number 1. Number 2, the editors have just finished, their annual conference in Uyo. And I did a memo to them. And I said the problem of Nigeria is not the problem of leadership. That the editors are number 1 problem of Nigeria. It was a hot paper. And for someone like myself, who is a prime beneficiary of the legendary magnanimity of the media, for me to say that, They had to say, bros, what do you mean? I said, look, who do you project? The man that can win or the man that can lead? For as long as you project the man that can win, you are the problem. Because a friend told me again, he said, if PDP brings a goat and APC brings a dog, those are the people that will be the next president or governor.
How is that against the law? Because the reason I asked that question is this. The Electoral Act recognizes the party over the candidates.
Yes.
That is why on the ballot paper, you don't have the image of Yaito.
I'll tell you this. The first thing is that the Constitution holds the media as the fourth estate of the realm. And you, my brother Ayo, you know, did I just call you Ayo?
Yes.
You know that it is not about the man that can win that will save Nigeria. It's about the man that can lead
the job.
Can do the job that will save Nigeria. So what do you do as the fourth estate of the realm? Even if that competent guy belongs to a small party, it is your responsibility to go for competence above capacity. But you see, that is grammar, but until we look at that grammar,
that competent guy, Ezekiel, does not have the money.
Thank you.
Dr. Adoye,
yes,
the budget is prepared, federal, state levels.
Yes.
And then the performance of the budget, whose duty is it to look at that? Because Ezekiel mentioned something when he spoke earlier, which I read to mean the power of incumbency, that the incumbent can put his hands in the state coffers and pull out money as he pleases to save for the next election. Should that be allowed? And if the body who's responsible for making sure that the budget works as it is written, performs as it is written, if that body is doing its job, there should be no room for that kind of behavior.
Yes. Let me say, first of all, before I become a lawyer, I happen to be a chartered accountant in practice for so many years. There's what we call value for money audit. No state government, no state assembly, National Assembly is not doing it. So what they do at the National Assembly, apology to those of them that are good guys, they tell you they are doing oversight function. What is oversight function? Is to actually come to say, look, we gave you a budget of 100 billion here to build XYZ. We want to see if you actually spend the money judiciously. But in oversight function, they send them letters that they are coming. These ministry agencies and departments will take care of their flights, they will take care of their hotel, and they will give them, not envelope now, Ghana must go. And I had cause to speak with people who run agencies, and they have to do it. The State Assembly, they're supposed to have a mechanism through which they can carry out value for money audit. So, if a governor has deliberately written a budget to steal our money, the responsibility of the State Assembly is to say, okay, you have told us that you are going to do the road from Oyibo to Ikoyi for 20 billion. That's okay, no problem. When you now tell us that you have finished the road, you will give us the picture before, after, the contractor that carry out the work, and we want to know the bill of quantity, how many culverts were built, how many drainages were constructed along the line. Now, that is what we call value for money audit. The World Bank will not give you any fund without appointing external auditors to help them carry out this audit we talk about. And funds are released based on milestone achievement. So, but with our government in Nigeria, and without exception, we are not ready for value for money audit. As long as people have to spend billions. Architect Etuk and myself, we were so passionate about development. We were so passionate about our country, about our respective states. He was desiring to be governor in Akwa Ibom.
That's true.
I was looking at my state with cry and say, Lord, how can we develop our state? Then when I spoke to a few friends, somebody said to me, if you want to be a governor, you need to show about 10 billion naira standing in your account. And he began to talk about money to party leaders and the rest. Now, when people spend this kind of money before they get into office, they will pad the budget. They will put artificial projects. Now, if you don't have checks and balances, they will go away with it. The contractor, and there's a way you can trace these funds. So you pay 10 billion to a contractor for a particular road. We call for the bank statement of the contractor. Which cement did you buy? Which steel did you buy? Which bitumen did you buy? Who carry out the work? Who are your workers? Where are the equipment? We take the picture of the road. We check the dimension. We dig it. How many centimeter is the thickness of the road? And we will know. So the State Assembly and the National Assembly that ought to do to appoint value for money auditors, experts, quantity surveyor, chartered accountant, different experts to carry out this audit. They are not doing it. I'll give you an example. Channels Television came into Nigeria when? How long has NTA been in existence? Can NTA stand by the side with Channels Television? But guess what? Go and check the amount that have been released to NTA. It may be times 10 of what you have received in your lifetime. And yet, their broadcasts, their programs is not appealing to the people.
I'm not sure, Dr. Ade, I'm not sure that, many people will agree with you. For instance...
They will not agree, but you know what I'm saying.
Dr. Ade, I think for anyone watching to assess the efficacy of, the platform he's talking about, I think that's on channel 419 on DSTV, but hey, that's another matter altogether.
419.
What? That's the channel. I'm just saying. So,
the morning tells the day.
The subject matter is transparency.
Yes.
And a good number of the things that both of you have spoken about this morning points to the fact that in the first place, you can't be transparent. That's the way it's sounding to me from both of you. The way it's sounding to me is like you're saying you cannot be transparent if you didn't have consensus in the first place. For instance, a good number of the issues that came out from Lagos State and a number of other states in the Southwest and even in the Southeast, they weren't something that had to do with the people. One of the issues raised was that of perfume or fragrance for an office.
Not perfume, it's fragrance.
Whatever.
Otherwise known as air freshener.
Air freshener for 2 billion or something? No, 2 million.
2 million.
2 million.
Well, it was corrected.
They say it's a mistake.
Yeah, typo.
A 3-digit typo.
We're learning a new understanding of typo.
We'll come back to that one.
And the bulletproof SUV.
I'm still wondering how that is playing out. But the point that I'm making is all of those things that people are picking on, they aren't, and they're big budgets. First of all, a good number of them I saw are under the office of the chief of staff, I think about 5 or 10. None of those issues raised, indeed, from what I saw, very few of them, had to do with developmental projects, infrastructure projects. So how can you expect, expect transparency when in the first place, there aren't things to do with what Dr. Adeyo is talking about, the number of cement used for building this one and that one. So is there a fault in the budgeting process in the first place?
No. It's called the concept of the essence. That's what I call it.
Essence.
The concept of the essence.
Okay.
What do I really want?
What does who want?
What do I, the person, what do the public really want?
Okay.
What does the public officer really want?
Oh.
Yes, the concept of the essence.
So what the public officer wants,
you must understand what he wants.
Compared to what the public...
Thank you. That's it. Why did President Tinubu, in his heart of heart, want to be a president? Why? Why did Sanwo-Olu want to be governor? In his heart of hearts, why? Why did Umoeno want to be governor? That concept of the essence is what's going to determine his... I'll tell you something. 2 people were given blocks to count. One, 1,000 blocks. The other one, 100 blocks. You would expect that the man that was to count 100 blocks would just boom, boom, boom before he can. But the man that was to count 100 blocks didn't want to give the answer. He wanted the answer to be different. The man that was to count 1,000 blocks wanted the answer transparent, accountable, open. You know what he did? As soon as he came in, he said to the people, stack the blocks in stacks of 50, 50, 50. The people stacked the blocks. Within a minute, he just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last one is short by 1. So it is 9,999. The answer is boom. But the one that was to count 100, he told the people, you know what, scatter it. Scatter it, 100. So he said, he's pointing 1, 2, 3, 4, 34, 35. They say, sir, you have counted that one before. Okay, no. So you start again. 1, 2, 3. 2 hours. They are still trying to count 100 blocks because he didn't want the answer. So when you come to budget, I want money. I want money for election. So guys, how do I get money? So what do they start to do? They start to do abracadabra, where they appear confused. They are not confused. They know exactly what they are doing. So you, that is the public, the office of the citizen, that you want good governance, what do you do? Ayo, when you saw my name, something would have occurred to you. You could have called the producer and said, no, please. The last time we interviewed this guy, he was completely wacko. There's something wrong. Please don't bring him. Because there will be consequences. Now, the producer does not listen to you. He brings me. And all I'm doing is looking at the television and you are asking, sir, I'm looking because I came here to look good, make Nigerians see me. So Nigerians, are you seeing me?
But at the end of the day...
You need to get this. At the end of the day, who you put on the seat, what you have is not what you want, but what that person wants.
Okay, so now in this regard of what you said...
And just to conclude, our politicians are not there for service.
We'll come to that.
Most of them.
Because at the end of the day, that's the only route through which anyone comes into leadership in the country. Now, you pointed accusing fingers at the media the other time.
We are a part of.
Which you are a part of. Yes. So you are equally guilty.
Very.
Because when you say for instance, you referenced the Guild of Editors and the rest of them. In the first place, you know that if the editor has, say, 1,000 stories, sifting through is an issue. He has 6 considerations to make. Now, for whatever reason he comes up with whatever it is that he comes up with, the media has been milking the issues that are arising from the states. So what exactly could the media have done different?
I'll tell you. They could have as a policy. You see, Channels has as a policy quality. There is somebody that will pay you 20 million to come on a program, and the manager will say no. It is our ethical standard. We will not. If the media, as the 4th estate of the realm, has it that we will take it as a mandate to sift out who can lead, no matter it's like
how does that happen?
Thank you.
When the political platforms
Yes.
are the ones that throw up the candidates.
Yes.
We have the media
Yes.
that you are shooting at
Yes.
has been raising issues
Yes.
about the resident electoral commissioners
Yes.
that are card-carrying members of a political
Yes.
party.
Yes.
So what should the media do?
I'll tell you what it is. If today the media decides they will focus on giving Nigeria the best president or best governor come 2027, and they start a program now of talking about, I'll tell you what a guy says in Borno State. He said that about 18 people wanted to be governor. So the elders came together and put up a pre-qualifying, a kind of profiling of who they be. He said about 8 of the 18 people stepped down. Because when they saw this is what we are going in for, they know say, with all their money, they no go fit. So the media should set an agenda as fourth estate of the realm on competence, capacity, capability for Nigeria. They want to recruit a CEO for Nigeria. Do you know what happens? Parties, including the 2 big parties, say, oh boy, if we bring monkey, maybe I know they sell again. No?
Anyway, let me ask Dr. Duke. You want to?
Yes, I'm wondering about that. Even if the media sets that those criteria, Dr. Adeoye, and the political parties do not adhere by that, but they have the money to move and shake, how is it going to work?
Well, I think the role of the media is complementary. It's not going to be a sole service to the nation. I just read to you the principle of good governance. This was formulated by the World Bank in the 80s when military incursion became popular in Africa. And they were saying that whoever is going to be a leader in any country must possess efficiency and effectiveness. His personality, his education, as the basic that we must look at. Now, when you have people who do not have the right education, the right experience, the right character, as the people coming forward, the media will have to come and tell the public that, look, this gentleman has so qualification. We have got to verify. We didn't find it so. Can the political party come to tell the public, answer this question? This gentleman has so experience. This gentleman was accused of so and so. Now, these are areas that the media will play their role. And then the political parties now have to up their games by ensuring that whoever is going to be the flag bearer for their party possess the right qualification, the right experience, the right character. Somehow, I believe that those that are stealing our resources, whether at the state level, at the federal level, they are not actually disappointing us because we have looked at them, we have listened to them, we know what they can do. I have seen a governorship candidate that pride himself in showing to the public the number of expensive cars that he has. That this car is 300,000 pounds. This one is this. And I said, look, are we playing here? Are we jesting? And you have these are people who want to lead. We have seen people.
Sorry, Dr. Adeoye, we're running out of time pretty fast. How then can we make it happen when our constitution says that to be president of Nigeria, all you need to have is a school certificate? You don't even have to pass. You can be F9 all the way down, and you can still be president of Nigeria.
You can have a program on channels and you talk to all the media association, recruiting the CEO of Nigeria, as Architect Etuk said, the requirement. And then we begin to promote it. It's an advocacy program. Yeah. And we say, these are the kind of people we want. Yeah. Then you can have some sample and say, we don't want this. And you begin to promote it until the lawmakers. But guess what?
Incidentally, Dr. Ade, as Alera said, we are completely out of time here. Essentially, what it sounds like, because this issue you raised, it's been our agenda for quite a while. Whether or not anyone will adhere to it, that's another thing altogether. But if I'm to take your last comments on this issue, where do we go from here?
Number one, we need to pass a law, both at the federal level and at the state level, on accountability and transparency. Government revenue.
Who's going to pass it?
The National Assembly and the State Assembly. We will begin to tell them, pass this law. You must disclose to us what you have said, and you give breakdown. That's what we call notes to accounts. So if you say fixed asset, you must break down and say fixed asset, motor vehicle, building, plant and machinery. And when you say plant and machinery, you must give us bulldozer, payloader. You give breakdown.
Okay. Mr. Yeto.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
I want Nigerians to know that the salvation of this country is not on leadership. It's not on National Assembly. It's on the office of the citizen. We have to come together, agree that Nigeria must be saved, and make demands of us as a people. We must put up certain pre-qualifying, criteria on leadership. That advocacy by the office of the citizen, which is led by the media. The media is the chairman of the office of the citizen because the Constitution vests them with that responsibility. That is why they are called fourth estate of the realm. Let's just take this route, which Channels is doing very well, I must say. If you listen to every morning and this weekend, they are laden with very informative programs. But let us take it a notch higher and decide to set an agenda for Nigeria.
Ezekiel Nya Etuk, founder, Nigeria First Initiative, who was in our studio in Lagos, and lawyer, chartered accountant, Dr. Benga Adeoye, who joined us virtually from Atlanta. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to look at this topic with us. Well, your ideas are... Well, we've listened to them, but will the National Assembly do, or the state assemblies do as Dr. Adeoye has advocated? That is the big question.
Please, let me just ask a question. What do we do to a lady who, instead of getting older, gets younger?
Well, that's
Sunrise
a matter for National Assembly.
In just a moment.
Thank you. So how can we clear the poto in the judiciary? That's the question we want to try to answer right now with that topic, reducing the corruption in the judiciary. In the course of the week, we ran a report on this channel of how the level of corruption index, according to the ICPC in Nigeria. My mind hasn't really left 2020 when the judiciary was said to have collected bribes to the tune of 9.4 trillion naira. Is it billion or trillion? I'm not sure. So that was really billion or trillion, I'm not sure. Within 2 years. No, I think it was billion. Just to be fair. Well, a 2021 report by the United States Department of State said the Nigerian judiciary is constantly under pressure from the executive and legislative arms of government. Constantly. Corruption is particularly pervasive at election tribunals and in the corruption trials of highly politically exposed persons. Consequently, public perception that judges are easily bribed and that litigants cannot rely on the courts to render impartial judgments is widespread. According to the late Juris Judicial, corrupt judges are becoming billionaires through election cases. Unscrupulous senior lawyers that facilitate the corrupt transactions are making even more billions. The NJC has wielded its disciplinary powers on some erring judges. Some have been dismissed, some retired, some denied promotion. But many legal experts say these have not been enough. Many corrupt judges escape unscathed to enjoy their ill-gotten wealth. Let's have conversations around these issues this morning on reducing corruption in the judiciary, and if I dare add, insulating the judiciary from politically exposed persons. Mr. Godi Uwazurike is here with us this morning. Chief Godswill Uwazurike is with us this morning. Godi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you and good morning.
Let's begin with you before we bring in another legal mind such as yourself. First of all, your assessment. In this election, in the election of 2023, February, March, we had a case where, so far, 30 members of the National Assembly, 7 senators, 23 members of the House of Representatives have been relieved of their jobs by the courts. So far, I think we have listed 3 governors who have also been pronounced by the courts as not validly elected for one reason or the other. What are your thoughts?
It's difficult to say anything. One is that this is my own constituency. As a lawyer, I have to be careful that I don't drag the name of the judiciary to the mud. But...
Don't you think it's already in the mud?
No, but when a masquerade comes out to dance naked in public, nobody should complain that we have seen the full view of the masquerade. The judiciary itself is on trial today in the court of the public opinion. And there is this local language we have, say fish they rotten from head. If you want to cleanse the judiciary from the head, you look and see whether it is rotten. If it is rotten, you decide whether you dry it up or you throw it away. So whichever way it is, judiciary must stand up in public because it is an arm of government. Remember there are 3, executive, legislature, and the judiciary. And each of them is supposed to be independent. And I remember one of the things we did at the National Conference was to examine the process of appointing judges, how open. And that is where the corruption starts from. If I appoint somebody a judge because he is your son, the new judge is indebted to me forever. If I make sure that he becomes a senior advocate, he has to dance to my tune. This is where it starts. Now, the one that is in public view every day is the magistrate courts, the customary courts. If you go there, they make no pretenses at all. But the one that has brought out the nakedness of the judiciary is the issue of the political cases. Right now, nobody can say for sure this is the law. I'll just give you an example. In Plateau State, APC came up and said, oh, your party structure, you were not properly nominated. The court agreed, except 1 or 2. And the whole thing affected even the governor. Yesterday, in Ebonyi State, PDP brought up the same argument that you, the governor, you were not properly nominated by APC. What did the Court of Appeal say? Say you're a busybody. What is your business there? So when you begin to see inconsistencies in the public display, nobody should be angry. that our faults are now magnified.
Let's take a quick look at that example that you just cited. The Plateau case and the Ebonyi State, from your own assessment, are they exactly the same?
They're exactly the same, and it is the same with what the Supreme Court held in the Tinubu cases, the ones from Peter, the ones from APM, when they were questioning the competence of the vice president to run for this office. Supreme Court said, no, it's their business. It's not your own. In the main trial, Peter and Atiku tried to bring in, they said, no, it's their business. That what we want is what happened on that day of election. Now, in many cases, I know some cases are still live and are still burning. I'll give you an example. Kanu. If you have 100 and something thousand people who trooped out, or 10,000 who trooped out to go and vote, they have discharged their duty. Duty completed, and they go home. Then somebody comes and says, all these votes must be discounted. You have to reject them. That those who provided the card did not put the stamp. How is it their fault? Now in Kanu is boiling. APC is warming up. And then people say no. And as a result of judicial discharge of the wrong functions. So I don't believe the judiciary has the duty of electing leaders. I use my words carefully. Yes, they'll come up and say, we are looking at what was done. If what was done was not right, ask them to go back and give the people the chance. The choice of who is elected belongs to the people.
Well, I'm not sure if we have Mr. Yemi Akinseye George, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who should be joining us in Benin. Well, Mr. Yemi Akinseye George, thanks for joining us this morning on this conversation. What are your thoughts about some of the issues that have been raised so far, especially concerning the judiciary? My concern in all of these conversations is to insulate the judiciary so that our democracy can survive. How vulnerable, in your opinion, is the judiciary by the laws that guide their activities, especially in these election cases?
Thank you so much. The judiciary remains indisputably the most important instrument for legitimizing, elections in Nigeria. And that's how the Constitution has made it. And the people have come to accept that responsibility. It is unfortunate that, the judiciary has to be saddled with the responsibility of determining these political questions, heavy political questions, weighty political questions, including who is recognized as the president of Nigeria, including who is going to be the governor of a state, including who is going to serve in the National Assembly. These functions are highly political. So it is expected that controversy will be generated. If there's no way the judiciary can please everyone, it's not possible. Because we have brought the judiciary into a partisan arena. If they decide in favor of APC, PDP will protest. If they decide in favor of PDP, Labour Party will protest. So we have put our judiciary in a very difficult position, and they are doing the best that can be done in the circumstance, So it is not unexpected that there will be criticisms, there will be outcries, there will be outbursts. We had the similar situation in 2015 after the general elections, So once you bring the judiciary into the political arena, this is the kind of thing you get. You scandalize judges, people peddle unfounded rumors, people make allegations that are not true. Some stories are fabricated and placed on social media.
But isn't this also an indictment on the legal practitioners? Because they are the ones who decide for and against. Even after the cases have been decided by the courts, it is your colleagues, pardon my finger pointing, way of putting this to you. It's your colleagues in the judiciary senior lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria in most cases, who argue for and against. So whatever it is, whatever they say to their clients, that the clients also take to the media. And it would seem like, you know, we continue to denigrate the judiciary from the left and from the right, mostly led by judicial officers, lawyers, practitioners.
No, the point is this. The point is this. If you are looking for somebody to blame, it's not the legal profession. It is the political elite. It is the political elite that will not that will not allow the judiciary to perform their traditional functions. Ordinarily, political functions, resolution of political matters, it's not for the judiciary. As a general rule, you don't bring the judiciary into political terrain, as we have done in Nigeria. We have overwhelmed the courts. We have loaded the courts with so many political issues. You know, at every level of elections, you have thousands of cases. This is not what the judiciary was initially designed to deal with. And this is unusual. You go to other democracies, you know, the countries that we have, whose examples we are following, United States of America. How many political cases go before the courts? United Kingdom.
In which, at the end of the day, the long and short of it was, the lawyers to the parties should have known better than to bring that case to court, because the case was dead in the water. It had no merit at all. But like they say, lawyers too must eat. So they advised their clients to go to court, waste the time of the court, waste money and everything, and they still lost the case. So in the end, it is still an indictment of the lawyers who go to courts with these frivolous cases.
There's an error that we must not allow to stand. Lawyers do not make laws for Nigeria. We have a National Assembly that makes law for Nigeria. I'm saying that the state of the law as it is does not enable the judiciary to do better than they are doing. In other words, we need to go back to the drawing board. We have been using this defective system since return to democracy in 1999. And the judiciary has done its best in providing legitimacy. But we all realize now that the system is not working. The judiciary does not make laws for Nigeria, but the judiciary applies laws that have been made. So it is high time we went back to the drawing board to think, for example, I mean, let me give you two instances. When the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, had issues with President Obasanjo, and President Obasanjo wanted to abuse his powers, to remove his Vice President, the judiciary said, no, you can't. And Atiku's term as Vice President ran out. He enjoyed his term. He was protected by the judiciary. Now, a presidential case came up. Because the case did not favor the same person, he now says that he has lost confidence in the judiciary. So what's going on? When he favors them, they say the judiciary is good. When it doesn't favor them, they say the judiciary is bad. That's number one. Another point I'd like to make is that why is it that the only cases that are prevalent, the only cases we are talking about now are political cases? Are those the only cases we have in Nigeria? Don't we have commercial cases? Don't we have land cases? Don't we have chieftaincy matters? But the elite has done it in such a way that all these other important cases are kept in the background, while everybody now faces only political cases. You cannot blame lawyers for that. It is the lawmaking, it is the legislature that has decided to tweak the system in a manner that favors the political elite. So what I'm saying is that we need to reform. We need to look at the system. For example, pre-trial cases. Why should we study the judiciary with the resolution of pre-election matters? You know, a party wants to choose a candidate, and they have agreed that this is our candidate. They have problem in the process. They must have a way by which they can resolve those issues. But it now becomes what we call pre-election matters. It goes to the Supreme Court, or it goes back and forth in our system. That means you have brought the judiciary into politics, and that's what you get. You get confusion, you get uncertainty in the law, you get unpredictability in the law. The precedents are messed up. And the members of the bench are also human. If you don't want this kind of situation, minimize the involvement of the judiciary in political matters.
The question then, Mr. Akinyese George, is how? Let me talk to Mr. Wazirike here, Chief Wazirike. The question is how, if you agree with some of the things that you have heard Mr. Akinyese George talk about. Because we have lawyers everywhere. We have lawyers in the National Assembly. We have lawyers in the state houses of assembly. We have lawyers in politics. We have lawyers on both sides of the divide in the courts. So how do we minimize the function of the judiciary when those who are supposed to protect the judiciary are on all the sides of the parties?
Well, you know, lawmaking is essentially that of National Assembly for the Federation, signed by the President, which must be done not more than 30 days after. Even though in Nigeria, we even sign 1 year after. Now, the judiciary is swamped, that's the first thing, with too many cases. I have a matter at the Supreme Court, 10 years is still there, not touched. This year is gone, 11 years next year. So the court said they're only interested in the priority cases, political, criminal, human rights. Then all the civil matters can wait. How do we solve this problem? First is National Assembly to pass a bill, and the president to sign it. Limit the involvement of the courts in political cases.
How? It's the law that is being followed.
Yes, but they have to amend the law. If they amend the law that such cases must not go to Supreme Court. I gave an example of political matters. Supreme Court said in one case, it's not a business. Followed up, you're a busybody. In another case, he got involved. So either way, an amendment has to be made that you, the courts, you cannot handle such matters. 2, anytime you abuse your position as a judge, this is the consequence. 3, the lawyers who are involved must also face the sanctions. Let me put it bluntly. It is not the judge who goes to forge facts. It is the lawyer and his client. So if you give them every sanctions, they'll sit up. I'll give you an example, which was badly done, but at least they tried. On those states, almost 6 or 7 years ago, there was this businessman who wanted to be the governor. He got a lawyer. The man was there making all kinds of delays under PDP. By the time they got to the Supreme Court, the real PDP candidate was pronounced here as the candidate, but he lost the election. And what the Supreme Court do said, you, the senior advocate, you are stripped of your title. For the next 3 years, this same senior advocate or former senior was just quiet. They just applied, they have just restored it. So if they impose such sanctions, I would think twice before going there to stand up and tell a man is a woman and a woman is a man.
Okay, on that, recently, I don't remember which case it was, that the courts, well, Mr. Akinyese George, you may also weigh in on it, after now. The courts said to the lawyer on this, that this matter shouldn't even have come to court in the first place. You're aware of that particular case?
Yes.
In that kind of case, what should happen?
Well, it depends on who is at fault. If your client comes to you and says, I want you to take up this case, you say, do you want my advice? There's no way here. In some cases, the client will say, let us go. In other cases, they'll tell you, I know the judge. Just file. But then, there are many cases where you even find the court itself being very wrong. Our friend, architect Ezekiel, just left here. His matter was languishing at the Court of Appeal. 42 days passed. On the 61st day, they gave judgment. Whereas the law is that it must be given within 60 days. So by the time it got to the Supreme Court said, well, there's no jurisdiction, even though he won the case. So the case is off. So the blame, yes, I know, must go around, but what to do must start with what the legislature presents. Okay. I am proud to say I was a member of the Judicial Committee of the National Conference of 2014. We made substantial recommendations. We worked with the then Chief Justice of Nigeria. But what happened? When Buhari came, he said, I won't even look at it.
Okay. Chief, you said earlier that any judge who has misused his position should be disciplined.
Yes.
Okay. How will is it the NJC?
The NJC has the sole and exclusive duty.
Okay. How will the NJC know that he has misused his position as a judge to be able to discipline him?
Well, there must be a petition. Then, but the problem I will tell you from practical point of view today is that when you have a valid petition with all the facts correct, you blow it up in the press. If you have a corrupt group of people presiding, they can't suppress it. Because if the panel set up by NJC to look into it, it's also made up of people who have questionable character, then you have a problem. But we must continue to upload all such cases to NJC.
Okay. Mr. Akinshaya George, you want to respond to the same two issues raised. One is the fact that, there was that case where the court, I'm not sure whether it was, I think it was a presidential, I'm not very sure right now. When the court said, this matter shouldn't even have come, this particular issue in this case shouldn't even have come to court in the first place. And the recommendation of Mr. Wazirike is that, look, the Supreme Court already gave a kind of precedence, stripping an individual of his sonship, of the senior advocate of Nigeria role because of one, infraction or the other, right there on the floor of the court. So, do you think that is substantial?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted that the issues are coming out very clearly. I liked what the learned participant, that the chief, said. The judiciary does not decide which cases come before them. They have no power to initiate cases. The cases they deal with are those taken there by the people. That's number one. Of course, there are rules that say, okay, these kind of cases can go before the court. Those rules are now outdated. A situation where even House of Assembly election, I think that one goes to the Court of Appeal. The appellate court, we have to, in the Court of Appeal, we have to be the final Court of Appeal in a matter pertaining to the election of a member of the House of Assembly. We have a Supreme Court that has 21 justices. At the moment, they have only 10 justices. And we have a population of over 200 million people. One Supreme Court serving over 200 million people. So our laws as presently constituted are outdated. They are anachronistic. We need to redefine and limit the functions that the Supreme Court can perform. The Supreme Court has to be a constitutional court. We need to devolve, we need to decentralize the judicial system such that we have full complement of courts at regional levels. So that matters of customary law, matters of land matters, and several other matters end at the regional appellate court. Only a few matters that the Supreme Court decide that they are going to take, constitutional matters of fundamental constitutional importance, will go to the Supreme Court. I have argued this in several places. I'm a professor of law, a senior advocate of Nigeria. I've taught jurisprudence for more than 30 years. I've told them that our present judicial structure, as constituted, is not fit for purpose. You can't blame judges for that. It is the role of the National Assembly to tinker with the Constitution and the executive to bring relevant constitutional reform proposals. If we were to continue like this, a time will come when there will be total, absolute loss of confidence in the judicial system. And that's not good for us. That's not good for the rule of law. So it is high time, rather than just bashing judges, attacking them, criticizing them, we need to look at the instruments, the laws with which they have to work.
Well, Mr. Akisha, sorry, Prof, yes. Now that I know that you're a professor, now, Prof, in that regard, are these the reasons why there is corruption in the judiciary? That case, I'm pretty sure you are aware of that report by the ICPC that, judges take bribes. Is that the reason?
You see, you didn't read that report correctly. I want to challenge you that you have not read that report. ICPC was talking about the judicial sector. And the judiciary it's not only judges who make up the judicial sector. There are non-lawyers supporting judges as well. We are not saying there's no corruption, but can you have a clean judiciary in a society that is rotten? Is it possible? Are these judges supposed to be angels from heaven to administer the laws of Nigeria for us?
If you go by what one of your colleagues said yesterday on our program,
Yes.
Barrister Bani, saying that in virtually every profession, it's about just the judiciary, especially the judges, that have what he described as they play the role of God in some way, saying that it is whatever pronouncement of the court that stands in the land. Consequently, to an extent, some people will say, yes, we expect these people to be well above board. We can misbehave, they can't, because they have the power to make pronouncements as if it was God that was making the pronouncement. So that expectation may not be out of place. And yes, you are correct. The report of the ICPC is talking about the judiciary in total. Mr. Obani also mentioned yesterday that even the errors, the clerical error that is being claimed by the appeal court could have been performed by a clerical officer in the courts, understandably. But at the end of the day, no one is going to mention the name of a clerical officer. No one is going to mention the name of a typist. They're going to mention the name of the judge. So that is why perhaps a good number of people have that perspective. That is the way to look at this. But having said all of that, how do we step all of these down? Because you said it just now, perception is reality. And if people continue to see the judiciary in a particular light, in no small time, in no distant future from now, we won't have anything again. So how do we insulate the judiciary, particularly the heads of the courts, from all of these, mistakes, all of this distrust, all of this corruption in particular that is unleashed on them by the political class? How do we do that?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I like the way you have framed the question. Now, there are 3 branches of government. We have the executive, we have the legislature, we have the judiciary. Now, the legislature and the executive are political, and they must be political. They must be allowed to misbehave. They must be allowed to get things wrong, to make mistakes, fight themselves, fight dirty. The other day, Father Kuka was talking about pigs fighting in the mud, even though he said that he's not referring to the politicians as pigs. I agree. But political branches must be allowed to be political. We need to establish a structure in our judiciary that will guarantee their independence. And steps are already being made in that regard. I'm aware, that the Attorney General of the Federation, and is already making moves, to ensure that the judiciary is insulated. That should be that's what we should be crying about.
Okay.
Not attacking judges, not making unfounded allegations, and then using the social media to divide and heat up the system. The concern of every Nigerian now, including those of you in the media, is let us create a better structure, an improved structure.
Well, there's more on that. One of the recommendations that Chief Wazirike has made here on disciplining legal practitioners, erring judges, and all of those things. We'll come to those when we return from this break. Just stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. It's still sunrise and it's a Saturday morning. Oh, I didn't tell you the date this morning. Today is November 25, just in case you forgot. And check your diary. Maybe you're missing an Owambe right now. Let me quickly come back to you.
It's exactly 4 weeks to Christmas.
Exactly 4 weeks to Christmas. And 2 days before that, we're going to have DSS. Yes. December Sunrise Special, not that DSS. Okay. All right. And we're going to arrest some people for that. But, come back to you, Dr. Waziri.
And we shall not be needing judges after we have arrested them.
No, we'll judge that later. We'll judge that later. Now, you've listened to Professor Akinshaye George, speak about some of these issues and that we shouldn't blame the judiciary, we shouldn't blame judicial officers. I contend, and I'm still going to ask you, Prof, I contend that for as long as we have judicial officers in the National Assembly, judicial officers in the political parties, in government, and in opposition, I will still say that the judiciary is everywhere and we should still lay a responsibility on judicial officers. Do you agree with me?
No, well, not completely. Let me just tell you how it works and what the ICPC report said. It attributed some of the corruption cases to clerks and registrars, to drivers and office assistants, to lawyers and to the judges themselves. The report gave percentages. And Bishop Cooker, I like the way he put it. He said, we priests are also involved in thanking God for any success done by corruption. Now, if you're going to court now, I'm sure you will not go to court and say, Judge, take this money, give me judgment. No. You get your lawyer, you go to your lawyer, prepare the cases, you sign, and you file. If you notice around the court premises, you find some people hanging around.
Called charge and bail.
No, charge and bail is different too.
Oh.
In the magistrate court, but in the high court, you find some people hovering around. Some of them may not be lawyers, but they are there looking for vulnerable people to scam. They will tell you, oh, this judge, I know him now, he's my uncle. He comes to our house. This judge is my auntie. They convince you. At times you see them going in and out. They say the judge said he should bring this. I'll just give you a real example I know of in the High Court of Abia State. There was a judge who had this friend, a medical doctor. The medical doctor visited him. So as usual, he was seeing him off. Another man was sitting in the doctor's car. So the man quickly came out and said, now me get that Nama case. I am the owner of that cow case. So what are you talking about? Now, Nama case before you, now where you they here before this person and this person? Now make I tell the doctor, make he come see you. Even the thing where I give. So the judge was mad. He said, is this what you have been doing with our relationship? Of course, he reported him and withdrew from the case also, because he was already compromised. Now, the court clerks, the registrars have a horrible role to play. At times they tell you, give me money, I will make sure this case is assigned to that judge. And how is it done? The day they will carry the files for assignment, they know that the presiding judge is not around. So when the acting PJ is saying, which court? Say, my Lord, go to court 2, court 3. I know it happened in Federal High Court. After investigation, they were able to establish that this particular registrar was fond of saying Judge A, Judge B. But they couldn't establish corruption. They simply retired him. So judiciary and its mess will always be there until we have somebody who will say, I am angry enough to wield the big stick. It starts with the chief judge, it starts with the chief justice. Now the crisis also in the judicial is carried on by the way the chief judge comes in. When the governor is traveling, some people see him off. If you go to the various states, you find the chief judge being one of those standing there. That is wrong. When it's coming back, the same process. Judicial financial independence is compromised. Unfortunately, when the case goes to Supreme Court, they said, well, you have no jurisdiction. You must amend the Constitution. So if a chief judge needs money to carry out a project, he writes to the governor. He goes with the letter to the governor. He sits down to wait. As he's waiting, party chairman comes in, George, how are you? He taps him on the back. Before the chief judge will go in to see the governor. The governor says, okay, I approve, but there's no money. Accountant General is sitting on it on the instruction of the governor. And when he inquires, you find out that he, the chief judge, gave judgment against the state. So we are paying you back. Corruption is real, including a lady working in a law firm writing complaints saying, bring your cases to us. We are close to the judges. We tell them what to do.
You know, my apologies, Chief. I'll bring this back to you, Prof. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still finding it difficult to excuse the legal professionals because it is the legal professional that is on this side and on that side. I'm trying to imagine it's a medical doctor. I'm trying to imagine it's an engineer. It's a profession, that's governed by rules. As you said the other time, Prof, there are rules to bringing certain cases to court. You said it here to us. So there are some cases that aren't supposed to go to court. Well, Chief also said that sometimes the legal professional will advise the individual that, look, this case, there is no road. There is nothing at the end. And at the end of it, the court says, in judgment, with the lawyer there, and I don't know how he will not feel embarrassed, that this case shouldn't have come to court in the first place. In that kind of case, going by the example of what he said the other time, that the Supreme Court stripped someone of his sonship, do you think that is something that should be scaled up, just to curtail that we do not overburden the courts with cases that shouldn't come to court?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the things we need to do. Discipline, if you like. You see, let me help you to frame what you are trying to say a little bit. The legal profession controls the one arm of government. That's the judiciary. You have to be a lawyer to be a judge. And we are the legal profession is responsible, as far as I'm concerned, for the rot in the system. The legal profession has also helped the system, but we have reached a point now that we need to up our game. We need to rethink this. We need to reorganize the system. What are the things we need to look at? All of these things. I mean, like the learned chief there was talking about. We need to look at appointment. Appointment. 5 things we must look at: appointment of judges and support staff. Appointment of judges and support staff. Working conditions and remuneration, very, very important. You are talking about how to insulate the judiciary. Then we're looking at jurisdiction. What matters should go to court? What matters should be resolved at the political level? What matters should be resolved at the regional level? What matters should go to the Supreme Court? At the moment, all sorts of things, including husband and wife fighting, and they have issues, and they want to separation, they go to the Supreme Court. Is that the purpose of the Supreme Court? Supreme Court ought to be a constitutional court. Supreme Court ought to be a court of policy. Supreme Court ought to be a court that shapes the future development of the country, using the legal system, using the law. And then we have to look at retirement package. A situation where, for example, we take care of heads of court. We take care of the Chief Justice very well. We take care of the Chief Judge very well. We take care of heads of court very well. We have no provision for justices of the Supreme Court. No provision for justices of the Court of Appeal. No provision for High Court judges. Except maybe in Lagos State and Rivers State. Even magistrates are not well taken care of. And magistrates control more than 80% of the cases that come into the judicial system. So our system is fundamentally flawed. It is not fit for purpose. Okay. That's the judicial system. Okay. And we need a strong judiciary. We need a strong judiciary to consolidate and stabilize democracy. They have done well so far with the minimum resources that they have. So we need to look at the system and reorganize it. That's what I'm saying.
Professor, can we therefore come to the conclusion or deduce that some of this corruption is arising from the fact that judges are not well catered for? Because we heard some time ago about, I think it was a former chief judge of the Federation making a case for buying cars for some of them and giving some of them adequate accommodation. Could we therefore say that this is among the reasons why some of them will tend to be corrupt?
I must say that notwithstanding the very harsh conditions under which judges work, the great majority of our judges are honest, hardworking, and courageous, a great majority of them. However, we are exposing them unduly and unnecessarily. They buy from the same market, they spend the same naira that everybody is spending, and they are not allowed to practice law like their colleagues who are in private practice are doing. So, a harsh economic situation for me does not justify corruption, but it's a predisposing factor. So we need to look at working conditions, we need to look at character, we need to look at who gets appointed. The present structure is defective. You have the Chief Justice as the head of I'm not talking about incumbent, I'm talking about the office. The office of the Chief Judge, of the Chief Justice, heads the Federal Judicial Service Commission, heads the National Judicial Council, heads the National Judicial Institute, heads virtually all the bodies that are in the judiciary. You know, then you say absolute power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. That's what Justice Datijo was talking about in his retirement speech. Justice, the female justice, I'm trying to remember her name, my former lecturer. Amina Ogi talked about the same thing. Justice Onoge talked about the same thing. All the retiring justices in the last 10 years, in the last 20 years, have been saying this structure is bad. Do something about it. And I believe that we have an incredible opportunity at this time when we have the current president. I believe he did a lot for the judiciary in Lagos State. That's why the judiciary in Lagos State is a little better than the others, you know. And then we also have an attorney general who is seasoned, who is not just a legal practitioner, who is a professional to the core, you know. So I think this is an opportunity to turn around the judicial system, because without a solid judiciary, democracy will fail. Without a solid judiciary that can call a spade, that can say to the political, you are wrong, to the political branches, you are wrong, go and do the right thing. You know, unless we have such a vibrant and strong judiciary, but we cannot have such a judiciary as presently constituted. It cannot work.
Is there a role for the NJC and or the NBA in all of these? How urgent should those interventions of either of these parties be?
Absolutely. The NJC ought to NJC should come up with a bill. We have advocated this privately, we are also advocating it publicly. The NJC should say that this is what the structure we need. This is the structure that can help us. But the NJC cannot do it all by itself. We need the NBA to stand up and do something. You know, to work with the Office of the Attorney General, the legal profession. We are to blame. We must take the blame. I'm part of the system.
How about the inner bar? Because they are the ones usually at the front line of,
I'm a member of the inner bar. I'm a member of the inner bar as well.
Exactly.
The body of senior advocates. The body of senior advocates. We must produce a bill and go to the National Assembly. Because, like you rightly said, the National Assembly also needs the help of lawyers. Because politicians do not draft laws. Lawyers have to help them to draft these laws. So the legal profession must get its act together. We know the problems, but it's not sufficient to know the problem. But because many of us are profiting from the decadent system, we are not doing what we're supposed to do about it. You know, but we need Nigeria to survive. We need democracy to survive for us to continue to practice our profession. You know, so we need as a matter of urgency to reorganize the framework, the constitutional framework of the judiciary,
okay,
you know, and of justice delivery. Okay. That is as long and short of it. Thank
Chief, you. How do we go about this? You know, you agree with him or you want to?
Oh yeah. In fact, the National Assembly, the various state legislatures can take the first step. Otherwise, we'll go straight for constitutional amendment. Give the judiciary more powers and provide for them. When a justice retires, yes, he gets his salary for life and other things. Where does he live?
Under the bridge.
The Chief Justice, the Chief Judge, they are provided houses. And just a caution on the issue of the Chief Judges. If the governor does not like you, he will make no provision for that. By but it should be
Are
taught.
they not supposed to get their money on frontline charges or whatever they call it?
No, there is front line. That is for salaries. Salaries of judges. But to run the courts, you need state funding.
How is that different from what the National Assembly does? Does the National Assembly also go to the executive cap in hand?
That's part of the corruption. If they think you're not obeying them, they have ways. Just lock up the money purse.
Yes.
And everybody will follow. But then the problem starts with appointment. First of the magistrates, because most magistrate courts, customary courts, are marketplaces. What do you want? You have good ones, so I have to be honest. You have good magistrates, good judges, and so on. But then, one bad apple spoils the rest. And if you remember, the judge took bribe, makes more news than the judge is an upright judge. So when you begin to see things the way they are, in the first place, there are some lawyers who will deceive you. There are also other lawyers who will be diligent to ask you what you want, which is why we always say, give us a letter of instruction. If a client in a good case...
Letter.
Yes, you have a letter of instruction.
Like a kind of brief.
You must take it in writing. If you don't take it in writing, it is he said, she said. So the repair of the damage, remember the slogan in the street, go to court. Go to court means you will not get justice. That's the meaning. So if I slap you now as a princess, then you get angry, I'll tell you, go to court.
But Chief, you know all this advocacy that's going on now about amending the electoral laws. If a number of those things go through, don't you think that will reduce the pressure on the judiciary?
The Electoral Act, the Constitution, amending 2 of them now, taking into account our experience of the year 2023, you expect INEC to give you results, certified true copies.
Not in the courts.
You pay. Up till now, INEC has not given Peter B the results, certified. He paid for them. They have not given article. And the ones they brought are modeled up ones. And Supreme Court said there's no way anybody can look at them, but did not sanction INEC.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I think we have gotten some pointers to how we should be taking this further. What remains now is for us to perhaps wait for Professor Yemi Akinse George's considerations to be activated by those who should. You've mentioned the NJC, National Judicial Commission. You've mentioned the Nigerian Bar Association. You've mentioned the Inner Bar as well. And let's just hope that they'll be able to take some action on this. Professor Yemi Akinse George is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And we've also had the privilege of Chief Godi Wazirike, also a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. How soon we get answers? I guess the time will tell. In the meantime, stick with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now, after all that heavy stuff, let's look at lifestyle. And when we were opening, we were giving the menu, we said something about challenges of a blended family.
Not with blender.
And it was like, Kilonjebe, blended family.
Not with blender, I assure you.
Okay, now let's break it down. A blended family or step family forms when you or your partner make a life together with the children from one or both of your previous relationships or marriages, as the case may be. The process of forming a new blended family can be both a rewarding and a challenging experience. While you as parents are likely to approach remarriage and a new family with great joy and expectation, your kids or your new spouse's kids may not be nearly as excited.
Lord of the Rings kind of person.
Or you just dangle your hat in front of us now and we'll start, like they say, Mama Kabi, you know?
I don't play that way. And you know, honestly, every time I get that look, I smile, because that's also how I felt before I actually went to undergo it myself for my own healing. I remember when the lady said to me, this is what I do, and one of the tools I use is hypnotherapy. I said, I reject you, I reject you, I reject you. I said, because in Nigeria, hypnotherapy is demonic, you know. But I mean, after a while, I thought about it. I'm already on the floor. How lower can I get? I mean, maybe this will work, maybe it won't. So I decided to try it out, and it changed my life forever. That's why I went to train for it, because that's what I use now to help people gain themselves.
Ah, okay. So in the course of your job, you know, this is just in parentheses, what exactly do you do to people?
We talk. So we go back to exactly, so let's say, for example, we talk. That's all we do. We talk. Now, unfortunately, your consciousness maybe is about 10% of all the things that have happened to you, but your subconscious mind holds about 90% from when you were a baby till now. And so for us to heal whatever you show up with, let's say, for example, anxiety, we have to go back to the root cause. Now, talk therapies are great, but they talk on the top level. It's not as deep, right? But with hypnotherapy, you'll go back to the day, the time, who you were with, what was happening, and what you made the incident mean, because it's not about the incident, but the meaning you give to it. And then we empower that child, because who is showing up today with that anxiety is not your 70-year-old or 50-year-old. It's that 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old that something happened to, that they keep triggering the memory, and so it's showing up today. So if we're able to empower that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old child, then you're going to change today.
Well, this is another topic. You're coming back.
Yes.
Okay.
But
this blended family business, and you keep saying not in the blender, not in the blender.
It's not in the blender.
So we have defined it.
Yes.
It's about two families, more or less, coming together.
Yes.
Let's say we decide to get married now. He had children before, I had children, and then we're deciding to come together.
Yes.
So
sometimes one person hasn't got kids.
Marriage blends you.
Yeah, before you say blendies you.
Oh. Or blended.
Blends you.
So tell us.
Then you decide to have your own children. That really sums up.
If we're young enough.
If you're young enough, of course. Yes.
So we then have 3 sets of children.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Now,
that's quite a blend.
It is.
In Nigeria, when you talk about step, anything, step
mom,
especially step mom, the step mom to most children
is a witch.
Is step mom is akin to being a witch
or wicked.
Yeah, and I always say stepmothers and mothers-in-law are just one step away from being witches. So this family has come together with these children. How would you advise them to behave towards the children that are not theirs? And how would you talk to the children to behave to the parent that is not theirs biologically?
Okay, so I'm a stepmother. Let's start from there, okay? Unfortunately, nobody prepares you for the journey. So before we even get to how do we do that? Relate. There's also a relating with yourself as a human being. And so, I mean, Hollywood created Cinderella. And so from there, everybody has, I mean, every Nollywood movie that talks about stepmothers is wicked. So stepmothers carry that title without even knowing it. At least I'll use my experience. And, you know, in my case, my husband's late wife, I call her late wife because she's late. So you're coming into a relationship, first of all. Don't forget, these people, well, for me, I believe that they were in love before we got married, right? And if she still were alive, I won't even be in the picture. Yeah. So you're already dealing with that insecurity, not knowing whether you have a space in his heart. Now, on top of it, I also came from a place where I didn't know that I was a broken person as well, and I had traumas that I hadn't dealt with. I didn't even know what traumas were at the time, right? Or that there was any challenge going on in my life. So it's not about the title. Let me also clear that. It's about the person. Who is this person, right? Because hurt people hurt people. But hurt people are first hurting, whether you like it or not. So if I'm a hurt person, I get into a marriage. Unfortunately, a marriage is not a happy fire, which is a word that I coined. It's a heightener of who you really are. So in my case, I came in looking for love in all the wrong places. And I think somehow I felt like I was a savior to my husband because, hey, you know, one of the roles that I carried was I was a carer, which is some of the roles that kids play, which would be another conversation. So I took on a carer role, and I'm for everybody, but nothing for me. Right? And so one day in the conversation when I was having with my then friend, because I knew him, I'd known him all the while even whilst I was married, we had this conversation, and I think he said something around, he doesn't think that any young girl who's never been married before will want to marry someone like him. I'm like, what nonsense. You're a great guy, you know. Now, I didn't know that he had put on a light of Voltron in my head, Defender of the Universe, because I formed the head, right? And so somehow, you know, because when people ask me how did romance happen between both of you, I don't know. We just started talking a lot more, and then from there we thought, okay, the next progression would be this, you know, and then our families, we met each other and we carried it on from there. And I thought love was enough, right? So unfortunately, love is great, but it's not enough, especially in a blended family. And so I have 2 kids who I didn't birth. They already have a family that already existed without me. So which means that they have their jokes, they have the things that they believe in, they have their religion, they have their nuances, they have, yes. Culture. I mean, my stepdaughter used to sleep in my husband's room before I came in, and then one yellow pawpaw shows up and she can't sleep in the room anymore. What's going on? You know, so there was, the big mistake that we made was that we didn't align. And can 2 walk together except they agree? No. So the first thing I tell anybody who is thinking about going into a blended family is you must go for therapy, because everybody's coming from a broken place. Yes. My husband, for example, I mean, his story is tragic. His late wife was killed right in front of him, and his daughter was shot. That's traumatic on its own. And so who then goes through that? Who carries that? And that's that. There's divorce. There's divorce that is painful as well. So this marriage is broken. You have come out of this place. Who's helping you go through that? Who's helping you? Then the children, you mentioned them. Who's helping the children either manage the grief of losing a loved one or a broken home? And most times children actually think they might be the cause of the broken home. Yeah. So they feel like failures because I can't bring mommy and daddy together. They're dealing with that. And so you have an angry child dealing with that. You have a hurt parent. You have another woman or a man coming from another place, maybe also from another broken home. Of course they need therapy. Of course, because they haven't even gone through, they haven't dealt with what the challenges that they're going through. And then you want to form a new marriage or a new nation without, first of all, dealing with the past?
Adela.
I'm sorry.
Adela, you're talking to Nigerians.
Yes.
And when you use the word therapy in Nigeria, think it's
for mad people.
It means something. You just said it.
Yeah.
So you want
go and see a shrink.
The man I'm going to marry,
yes.
The children, his children, my children, to be going to see because we are all mad.
Yes. But it is what it is. It is. If you want to call it mad, that's fine. They say many are roaming, or many are mad, few are roaming, or what are they say? The truth is, in Nigeria alone, just by waking up in the morning and putting on channels TV, and you are listening to all the things happening to you or happening in the world, it's enough to make you mad. What are we talking about? Why are we making it seem like madness is far away from us? It's not. Madness is not far away from you. Then you're getting messages from people who are just asking you for money. Then madness is so close. You see people with road rage. What do you call that? That's madness. And madness is not, it's the way you look at it. When people say they're angry, what word do they use in America? I'm mad. So how do you want to look at it? So you have to be honest with yourself that I'm not okay.
Okay.
And I need help.
We know that even in your profession, they say that a lot more people are living with insanity, more insanity than they are aware of. In fact, there's a study that, some professionals said to me that anxiety alone is a level of insanity. So you are low on cash, you're apprehensive about where the next meal is going to come from. Mm-hmm. It's a level of insanity. So maybe from that perspective, before people start thinking you're calling them mad people.
I'm not calling anybody mad.
But, to the issue, you said it's not about the title, it's about the person.
Absolutely.
Talk to us, first of all, about self-awareness, because I think that's where the whole thing starts from, before we now go into the complex relationship that the blended families. Talk to us about the level of self-awareness that any individual has about himself or herself, before we now, and how that reflects in whatever kind of relationship that they are into, before we take it to the blended.
So once again, I'll use myself as an example. Because now I'm very self-aware. I wasn't, I grew up not feeling loved because I'm a middle child. I didn't feel like I was the first, neither was I the only
youngest
boy, nor the last child, right? And every child, every number has their challenges. But let me just talk about my number as the middle child. And so what then happened, so once again, I was saying that there are roles that children play for connection, because every child wants connection. So I'll just glance through them. There's the brilliant child, there's the sickly child, there's the carer child, and there's the rebellious child. I was the rebellious child because I realized that every time I was naughty, my father, who never had time, now had time for me. So that's how I got his attention for so long.
So you continued being naughty?
Oh, yes.
Just
because
to get attention.
That's the role that I played. That's the role that I connected with my father and my mother on. And some people are sickly because they want the touch from their father and mother. Some people are carers. Mommy, are you okay? Daddy, are you okay? Everything, are you fine? Because of connection. Then the brilliant one, you come home with all the good grades and now you are the best child on earth. And so they connect that to wanting to stay brilliant so that I keep getting mommy and daddy's attention. Mom. That's all it is. So the
eye-opener, right?
I don't lost.
Eye-opener.
This is what they do every time. They come beat us and they expect us to smile at the end of the day. Go on, we can hear you.
I was the rebellious child, right? So after a while, rebelliousness stopped working for me, as they say, right? So I chose a different role because I realized that when I now did things for people, I got the accolades of thank you. So I became a carer. And a carer, once again, is I drop everything of me so that I can look after everybody. And then everybody says thank you. But what it is that you're not doing it for nothing. You're doing it for the thank you. Right? And when it doesn't come, you hear people say, after all I've done for you, they become very resentful. And so that's the person that I was. So imagine that person getting married to somebody that she thinks she can save. Because now I'm Voltron, defender of the universe, right? And I always joke about it, but at the time it wasn't funny. And so there was nobody telling me or guiding me. I looked for coaches for blended families locally. There was nothing. I looked for some internationally. I found very bitter groups where all they just were talking about was bashing the other. Yeah. So, and I was already in a very bitter place, right? I didn't know what to do with my stepchildren. I thought I did. Relationship you're trying to foster is a relationship with yourself first, then the relationship with yourself and your husband, then the relationship with yourself, your husband, his children, then the relationship with yourself, your husband, his children, his family, then add your family, then add her family, then add families and well-wishers. So a broken person, tell me how they can manage all of this successfully and be well.
We are the ones asking the questions.
So I'm just telling you that there's no possibility of being well. And that's where I found myself. Well, and that's where I found myself, right? And who do I go to? Who do I go to? And don't forget, I'm a people pleaser, so I want people to like me. Not just like me in their mind, but tell me they like me as well. So you start to create things that you can't continue. People start to take advantage. Well, I take that back. You give people permission to take advantage of you because nobody will do it if you don't give them the permission to. So I was completely flattened out, and then I'm insecure on top of it because do I have a place in his heart? Does he love me? Does he want me here? The children, their characters or the things they're doing, is it at me? The friends, when they smile or not smile, is it at me? So you're consistently having this chatter in your head of criticizing yourself, because if you do something, you're asking, if this person was my child, would I do it this way? Because you're thinking other people are thinking that for you, and then you're projecting your thoughts on them. So you're consistently in a place of madness. Right? And once again, I'm not saying mad is on the street, but in your head, if you have that much chatter in your head, you cannot be normal. You can't. And then in all of this, I made certain mistakes. I quit my job. I thought, oh no, it's time for me to spend time with the children and all of that. So I didn't have a job. I cut off a lot of my friends because I'm thinking, oh, now I'm married. I should not be seen with. But the truth is, every human being needs a village to raise them, and not a child, every human being. So some of the mistakes that I made, thinking this is how it's meant to be, and of course, then Reels and Boons also taught us all kinds of romance. This is how it is. Your husband should be your air conditioner, your fan, your freezer, your everything, your all in all, your one and all. And it's impossible because he can't even be those things to himself. Don't forget, he's come through this whole line of trauma, and he doesn't believe in therapy. Right? And so I wake up one morning, I'm completely deflated. I don't know what to do. The night before, my daughter had come into my room. I used to run away from her, actually. I didn't know what to do with her. I would run away from her, and then she would look for me all around the house and then find me. This particular day, she came into my room, and I was in the darkness, and she walked into my room, and she jumped on the bed, and she said, Mommy, are you happy or are you sad? I said, I'm happy. She said, then why are you crying? I said, because I'm happy to see you. And she said, she was quiet for a bit, and she just hugged me, and she said, Mommy, I love you. And that night, honestly, was my takeoff night to say, if I'm not even doing this for me, can I at least try and do it for this child, right? And God brought all the people that I needed. I had coaches. The following morning, I was excited. I said, let's go. I think we need to see a counselor. My husband said, I don't need to see a counselor. I'm like, I think I do. Because I'm not sure that I've gotten, I'm at my worst ever in my entire life. Worst ever. I've never felt like this before. But nobody put it in me. It already was there. Somebody just turned on the light. And I was able to see myself for who I really was. And I knew that the only thing I could do was go and seek help. And I did. So I started therapy. I went to see different people. I would share my stuff with them. I started doing courses for me. I'll say, okay, how does this work? Then I met this woman. I saw this woman online during one of the courses that I was attending. And there was this piece about her that I so desired. I honestly, she just looked like somebody that had white light all over her with wings. So I sent her a Facebook message, and I said to her, there's some piece you have that I so desire. I don't know what group you have. I don't know what, but whatever you're selling, I'm buying. So she responded to me. She's a Jamaican-American lady. So she responded to me and said, do you want us to have a 30-minute conversation? It sounded like music to my ears. So I said, yes. So she booked a call, we spoke, and so it was in the process she said to me, oh, so one of the things that I can do for you if you want us to really go deep is hypnotherapy. And I said, I reject you in Jesus' name. I said, even meditation in Nigeria is demonic, you know, but it's also ignorance. What you don't know, you bash, right? Yeah. So immediately, she said, I'll send you a video, watch it. Take your time and come back to me. So I took about a week. I didn't tell anybody any of these things because I didn't want anybody to talk me out of it. So I sat down and I thought to myself, you're already on the floor. You can't go any lower. Try it. It might work. It might not work. What are the chances? You have done other things anyways. So I decided to do it. So I called up. I said, I'm ready to do it. She said, are you sure? I said, yes. She told me what it cost. I said, okay, let's go. And that was the best decision I ever made in my life. And so when I was able to unearth some of the things that had happened to me and why, and I'm not going to scare you people on television.
Don't.
If you, I know, so I'll leave it alone. And that child was so empowered that it was so mind-blowing, and I'm sure my mom might be watching, you know, I had, after the experience, I shared it with her. And my mom is an English speaker, you know, very, very cool, very, you know, and she was like, what led you to do something? I said, well, finding answers led me to do it.
Finding yourself.
And finding myself, yes. So finding answers to who I really was. Yeah. And so that I could first, I mean, even look at triggers, look at the things that, and why? Because we just say, oh, I'm angry. Why are you angry? Something triggered it. Most times we say it's the other person, but it's never the other person.
You know, this is very illuminating. So the first thing is for the individual to make the decision.
Absolutely.
I need to find me. So in most cases, when a child does something and the mother or a father is all over the place, it's not the child's fault. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely not. Because the child is sum total of the parents.
Including a stepchild.
Yes. The child came from somewhere. You know, I used to think the children used to do things to me, but they're children. It's age appropriate. Even my own child will do things, right? So until I started to understand, one day my daughter said to me, Mommy, you're a bad mother. So I smiled, I said, thank you. And she said, you don't want to be a good mother. I said, it depends on who's judging me. So I looked at it as, okay, well, this can be a conversation starter. So I said, why do you think I'm a bad mother? She said, because you don't like to give your children things. I said, very valid point. I said, however, is that true? Then she goes, sometimes.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes you don't like to give your children things. I said, great. I said, does that then mean that sometimes I'm a good mother? She said, yes. I said, then that's good enough for me.
I'll take that.
That's good enough for me. I can't be 100% to you because you will make different things mean different things. That's my own child. Imagine if it was my stepchild that said that to me. How would I have felt? Well, then, now if my stepchild says it to me, I'll give her the same answer. Thank you. Because it's your opinion. And at best, I'm happy to listen to your opinion. Maybe there's some truth in it. That's me to sit down and look at it and say, okay, is there something that I'm doing? But that's my own internal work. Other than that, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about me. What matters most is what I think about myself.
So it is this self-discovery that helps you to decipher the other individuals in the relationship.
Absolutely.
But, and I know you have loads of questions, is that a way of saying, okay, what if what you are reflecting, because, I mean, something that you said the other time, what you are giving out, naturally you have expectations,
yes,
right? So what if, even after discovering all your discoveries like Mungo Park, you still come back, you still say, you're reflecting these things, but it's not coming back the way you expect? Frustration setting in?
So finding yourself is not a one-day job. It's a continuous process. right? If you're 70, do you know how many things have happened to you? So you think just one therapy session is going to clear that? It's not. It's a continuous process. Some people have therapists on their payroll every month. They go to talk to
their retainer.
Yes, on a retainer, because different things would happen. Now, once again, it's not about the incident. It's what you make it mean. And what you make it mean will come from your nature and your nurture, period. Which then means that if I did this to somebody in Nigeria, they say it's your mama. But I did the same thing to a white man, he's thinking it's high five. Same action, but different meaning. So that's what it is. So for me to then sit down, if I sit down and right now, whenever anything happens and I find myself struggling with anything, I ask myself certain questions. It's never about that person. In fact, I'm grateful that they did that because they're my teachers. They have shown me there's something in me that I need to work on. And so I'm able to sit in and say, so I'll give you an example. There's a sentence, this sentence, a woman is meant to submit. Some people say subject to her man. That sentence I used to struggle with. And so one day I sat in and I asked myself, why do I struggle with this sentence? What do I make this sentence mean? So it's not about who said it. It's about what I've made it mean. Now I realize that when I hear submit, I hear servant. That's what I make that sentence mean. And I have not worked so hard to be called a servant by anybody. So for me, why do I then feel that way? Okay, because I don't want to feel like anybody is wanting to break me or bully me. Why? Because my father bullied me for so long. So it always goes back to something. Right? My father bullied me for so long, I refuse to be bullied by any other man. So once I hear my father's voice in another man, my antennas go up immediately because I reject it. I've done it. I didn't have a choice then. I have a choice now. That's not that person's work. That's my work. And it can happen in 10 years from now. It can happen in 15 years from now. So it's never that, it's one and done. It's never one and done. It's a continuous process. That's why it's called personal development. You keep developing yourself till you die. The day you stop learning, you start dying.
I thought we wanted to talk about blended families. I didn't know we're not talking about blended persons.
Because the family is made of people.
How easy is it to actually go into this kind of family that we're talking about?
So let's not use the word easy.
Oh, okay. It's not easy, right?
Not easy.
Fine, okay, fine.
No relationship is easy. Every relationship requires work, and from both parties. Now you have more people in it. This is what I always suggest, and I'll say it over and over again. You have to align as a family because you are now forming a new family. The old one is gone. This is a new family for everybody. And so for us, some children may not be able to tell their parents what's going on in their mind. You need a therapist for that or a counselor. Some women are not able to speak to men because they don't think men understand them. You need a therapist for that. Some men feel judged by the way when they speak and the way women answer them. So you need a therapist for that. If we're all able to sit down together. Now, if we're building a new house, the foundation is what matters the most, isn't it? So why are we running away from building a solid foundation? By going to get counseling. That's what we need. Because everybody first, we start to unearth certain things. Your trauma, things that have happened to you. There's no Nigerian child that their parents did not slap for no reason. I'm looking for, if it's not one, it's the other. So we've all gone through all kinds of things.
And we all came out okay for it.
You think so?
I think so.
Exactly, I like that.
I think so.
You think so? I didn't come out well for it. So if you think you did, then great for you until something happens. And then you find out that you actually didn't. And you've carried on something, right? Even down to your physical ailments. 70 to 75% of it, research says, is emotional. Started emotionally. Where did that start? It's from something you're holding on to that you refuse to let go of. Something that has damaged you somehow. So let's leave the roles and the titles. Let's focus on the human beings. For human beings to live together amicably, they have to be on the same page. For them to be on the same page, they need somebody who sees a bigger picture, who can help them, guide them, navigate them, and then continue on that process. I also say that after that, the past families, there should be a party. That's one of my suggestions as well. Like a break-up type of party.
A divorce party.
Something like that. A divorce, not a divorce party.
I understand.
But almost like, you know, people have been, so for me, my husband had people who'd been in his life for 6 years. They've done a lot of work for him. They've given him a lot of support. Now he's about to move on to the next relationship. They have to be told that he's about to move on to it. Yes, it can't be business as usual. So if I sat everybody down and say, thank you for all you've done. You did this for me. It's not just to say thank you. This is how you gave me support, and I'm so grateful. And maybe a gift is giving or something. However, now I'm going into a new phase of my life with a new woman or a new man with children. So we need you guys for 6 months, 3 months, 1 year to give us some space.
Aside.
Because we want, and it's not we're saying get away, we don't ever want to see you. But we will invite you when we choose to, because we're trying to form something new from something that already existed. And then they cannot say that, oh, he didn't tell me. Oh, so that's how he just wants to dump me, or she just wants to dump me after all I've done for them.
Yes.
You have honored them with something really nice and pleasant. You have said kind words to them. You have told them. So if they show up in your house tomorrow and you don't open the gate, they can't say they didn't tell them. But if you didn't, people are still going to assume that it's business as usual. And most blended families have that challenge. Everybody still thinks, oh, we're going to keep going on. But no, we cannot keep going on, because this is something brand new that we need to work through.
Now, there's something you said about the children.
Yes, sir.
Well, as you said, the adults can take certain initiatives.
Yes.
But the kids, as you said, they will behave age appropriately.
Yes, sir.
Now, in a normal family, they behave age appropriately. Now they're in a blended family. They will behave age appropriately pro max.
Well, if the children are struggling, it will show up in different ways. You know, if you go to certain schools, you see children, you know, bullying other kids. A bully is first bullied. And so they're giving what they know, right? So that's why, once again, if this child has been helped, if their emotions have been worked through, they most likely will be coming into this relationship in a different way. They most likely will. Now, will they still need support? Yes, because don't forget, if their mother is alive, for example, they may still feel loyal to their mother, which means that if we're calling this woman mommy or being nice to her, mommy might be jealous. That's why therapy is needed. Because jealousy is something that you need to work through. Nobody's abandoning you, right? So if everybody has been through this support, then they will be able to do more for the children and give space. Like the stepmother will also understand that these children are just being children.
Okay. It seems that the core of what you've told us today is, before we talk about a blended family, let's talk about the blended individual.
Absolutely.
Whose blend is made up of past, present, all kinds of emotional, whatever. But in the meantime,
yes,
perhaps by way of a first aid,
yes,
to many blended families, many blended relationships now,
yeah,
who have this phobia for merely thinking about therapy. Can you tell us why it is necessary? What are the things that getting therapy involves? Because some people don't want to face certain
the first
facts.
thing is peace. If you want peace, I mean, can what you're afraid of be bigger than you having peace in your home? That's only a question you can answer.
Okay.
But if the children are young, they don't even know the meaning of the word peace.
Oh, I'm talking about the parents. I'm not talking about the children.
Okay.
If you want peace for yourself, in your home, for the kids, then why would you? Yes.
Okay.
That's the first way. Every other thing will be. Every other thing will be. Yes.
Okay.
Every other thing will build up on it. But therapy. I can't say anything else.
Therapy.
Oh, we have to go because at least now we understand. They have come to slap us.
But like we say, this is only the conversation starter, because there's still a lot we need to learn about this. And blended families, I mean, they're like to a penny in Nigeria.
Now, yes.
So we all need to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because it's almost inevitable.
Yeah.
And like you say, therapy, even though the person who's listening to us now, we think therapy.
Prayer is not the only solution.
Therapy.
Yeah, even about therapy, you have to pray to get therapy. Anyway.
Mrs. Adeola Kingsley James, certified rapid transformational therapist and clinical hypnotherapist, consultant and founder of OMG Global Consulting and Transformation Nation Africa. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
OMG is not oh my God, by the way.
It's owning my greatness. Owning my greatness.
Owning my greatness. Please own it.
Yes.
We'll own
And
this
carry
next segment.
it into the next segment.
Which is?
In the home stretch. And
The
we have the artist. He's here.
He? Is it he?
See you in just a moment.
Go and get the rest on YouTube. That's our guest, by the way. Popularly known as Larry J, his name is Olanrewaju Gregory, a Nigerian comedian compere who delivers amazing performances with a unique blend of drama and reality facts. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I don't even know how to sit down properly. You don't sit like a guest. Yeah, thank you for having me.
How do guests sit?
I don't know. You sit down and sit, I just leave. She was like 2-bedroom flats. Like, she's very compact. She's like it's self-contained. She contains herself. I don't know how to. It's good though.
To do what?
Someone who's practicing prosperity. You don't know where your helper will come from.
To be practicing prosperity.
Yes.
How do you do that?
You see that weird suit? That's the first step.
That's prosperity.
It's prosperity. It's prosperity. Just wear suits, look sharp.
The first time I saw Larry's joke, I thought, my God, who's this mad, as in MAD in capital letters, underlined in red 10 times? And he was talking as if he was going to cry. And the story he was telling was a sad story because he had done something terrible and he was now scared, too scared to go home, afraid that his mother was going to kill him.
It can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. You too, it has happened to you before.
No, I don't play football.
You must have done something one time that you were hoping that accident should happen to you before you get home. I've done too many.
Die before you die.
Yeah, I've done too many things. There was one time that they sent me a message to go and buy something. So there was 5 naira on top. Then 5 naira made sense. There was 5 naira on top. So I saw where they were playing table tennis, and I now joined them to play the table tennis. And then I chopped the first person's 5 naira, making 10 naira. Then the owner of the table tennis now chop 20 naira. And it's 20 naira that they gave me to buy some. So I cannot go home. I cannot go to where the destination is. So I was stuck in the middle. That was the first time I was going, and I was praying that aeroplane should come and just
drop on your head.
Just jam me. Do you understand? Because
the aeroplane, not car.
No, car, you can still recover. It's not just see me again, but as I was going, my
aeroplane,
leg was...
you won't survive.
So at least my mother will not remember that she gave me 20 naira to go and buy something. The only thing she will be in her mind, hey, my son, hey, she will not ask of the money. But knowing my mother, when
you get well,
when I get well, she still asks of the money. Now that I've grown, she's still doing it. So who am I to think that? No, It's only my mother that I know that will tell her, please, can you quickly borrow me 5K? She'll borrow me the 5K to buy something, to help me buy something. She'll buy it, she'll give it to me. And then she'll not ask me for the money. She'll not tell me to give her 5K. And I say, Dad, I don't have it right now. Don't worry, I'll send it. She said, don't send it to me. She'll not send me a list of things she wants to buy. And that thing will be like 20K or something. And I'm like, but it's 5K that I'm owing you now. Why are you sending me 20K stuff? She said that when she didn't know, she had not know that compound interest have entered. I said, when did you start doing real estate that you're having compound interest? Compound interest for people that are into real estate.
No, compound.
You have compound. And you have space. I don't have compound interest yet. I'm renting my apartment, so no compound interest.
So it's just flat interest?
Flat interest. It's a flat rate.
Hey.
Charge you flat rate,
not compound.
Not compound interest.
How have you
now
been?
you see when I told you that he was
you haven't even started. He has a show. You have a show when? Okay, by the way, you had a show last weekend.
Yeah, we had a show last weekend on the 19th at Ikeja Regal Hall. It was a successful one. You did not come. We give God the glory.
Because you didn't invite me.
No, I tried to. I tried to. You didn't look for me. That's where. But yeah, let me just talk about the show. Let's not bring personal relationship into the world. Let's not open our mom in the world. Let's just leave it the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah, but the show was a successful one. We had female comedian competition, Comedy Amazon, and it was fantastic. We had a winner, and I knew we had female comedians, but female stand-up comedians, those ladies were amazing. They were amazing. They went home with good amount of money because you cannot be giving somebody things that they don't need. Someone wanted to give me, let's have female product and give it to them. I say for people that need money, you want to give them products. Which product? They will sell your products to you. You have to buy it. If you cannot buy it, then what's the essence? So please. But we thank God it was a huge success.
And you also said that for those who missed that one.
Yeah, for those who missed the one at Ikeja, please, we're having another one on the 25th of December.
Please just say Christmas Day.
You're
making the 25th of
Christmas
December
Day. Christmas, Christmas Day is long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 24, 25, 26, and then Christmas Day enter January now, and then 31st. It's Christmas Day now.
Christmas Day. Starting from 24, 25, 26. Christmas Day.
Yes, now. Shay, you don't know Christmas Day, ni? There's boxing, Christmas, and the I saw
okay.
That one. There's there's the one you call. There's Christmas.
Okay.
And then there is Boxing Day. Everything is Christmas.
All is Christmas Day.
Yes, now.
Okay. So which Christmas Day is your own?
25th.
The one in the middle.
Yeah. Like, because Jesus was born. I almost said Jesus died on Christmas Day, and I remember that he's born. His name ceremony that they are doing.
Oh,
yeah. Because I'm just even thinking myself now that Christmas self. That means they born Jesus like 7 days before that time. I mean, that's his birthday day gone.
Jesus was born according to history. The one we celebrate Christmas, the day Jesus was born, we celebrate the day he was born on the 25th.
But Mary and Joseph, they did a lot to raise Jesus. Because even the Bible said that they raised Jesus like a normal child. So he wasn't... I wonder what happened to him when he went to the temple for 3 days. As in, that thing keeps ringing in my head. I can't do what Jesus did.
What did you do?
Like when he went to the temple when he was younger for 3 days, and then his parents were looking for him, and then when they found him, he told them, "Leave me alone. I'm in my father's house."
Your mother would have finished you.
Leave me alone, I'm in my father's house. No, it's not about my mother. If you notice, Bible keep quiet. After that time, Bible keep quiet. They did not say.
Is your mother watching?
She's not watching. I did not tell her.
Okay. So, finish this one.
So, if you notice, Bible did not write anything again that Jesus do anything like that again. Because when
Mama, no.
you know, and Joseph is a carpenter. I've carpenter slap you before. They reckon you say, you're in your father's house, Jadeli. You tell us where your father's house. The next miracle that Jesus did was supposed to turn water to wine. Mary say, go and give him, let him turn water to wine. Jesus had to tell his man, me, I'm not doing all this thing. Because you know what happened the last time. See, there are some things that will replay in your mind. You be careful. It was after Mary said, just turn it. He told himself, don't worry, just put it, you will do it. That's why now.
So just imagine it was Larry that his mother said that.
No, if it was me, I'll not die for the world, though. Because I'll have died already. I'll have died already. I will tell my own mother that I'm in my father's house.
For 3 days.
For 3 days. First of all, who is my father? Show me that my father is even afraid of my mother. I'll not go and say I'm my father. How many fathers? Who want to father me? Please, my father will be the one to be telling us, go and do that thing. I don't want your mommy to come and start shout. If you cannot do it, just let me go and do it in peace. So I want peace in this house. So for that kind of thing, me, I'll now go and say I'm in my father's house. Who born me? That's why it's only Jesus that can do that type of thing. And Mary is not a Yoruba woman, that's why.
Yeah.
Mary is not a Yoruba
What if
woman.
she was?
If she was a Yoruba woman, Plenty things Jesus did that is only... But Mary is a good woman. Let's just leave Mary. Mary is good.
Larry, our ribs are hurting. Yeah?
I'm just analyzing Christmas for you because you think Christmas is one day. You don't know that Mary fell into labor from 24 to 25.
Can I ask a question now?
What's the question?
Okay, good. So, tell us, how did you get into comedy?
Or comedy got into you?
I'll have said I'm passing and then I sit on the floor. But no, that's not the way it happened. But I just realized that I love to see people happy. I love making people happy. That's why if someone is crying in front of me, I don't know what to do. I'm very confused. That's why I need to see that until I just leave now. Like, when someone is crying and you are laughing, what does it mean? It's not like I'm responsible for that person, but yeah, I love to see people happy. I love to see smiles on people's faces. I didn't go to arts class. I was in science class. So it's not like I learned it all my life.
What did you study?
Let's focus on what I've become. In Nigeria, what you study doesn't matter.
So science school,
Me, sir.
And so why won't you answer the question?
I draw now. We play draw. So school did not win, I did not win. So let's just leave it like that. Though I actually did performing art, I had to move from sciences into art when I realized that it's arts I want to do. Even in the art itself, I was distracting the whole class. They think I was making them fail, but it's them that fail. When your head say you will fail, you're not thinking it's me. Am I the head of your family? Am I your village people? So we'll have like exams and then I'll be helping them and making them happy. And then they hated me because they all failed.
Because you were making them happy?
Yeah, because I set question. So what happened was I set question on my own, and I told them that that's the question that will come out. That's how they went to read those ones.
You misled them on purpose?
I didn't mislead them because meanwhile I went to buy Expo and I bought the fake Expo. I only now failed the first semester. Second semester, no, all of us will fail it. So I now did my own.
Distributed the fake?
I distributed it.
I would have wanted to ask you about your children. The ones that are always reporting on Instagram. What do those children do to you? You have 30 seconds.
They mean the world to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to bring them up the way I was being brought up, but my wife did not agree. So yes, that's the situation we are at. And God has blessed me with fantastic children.
How many of them?
2. I'm the one that born them, but they are the one teaching me English.
No, please follow that on Instagram.
So
we have. I really wish we had more time. We have just about 2 minutes. We are having DSS. 2 days before Mary got into labor,
2 days.
we are having
Mom Mary fall into labor.
before she fell.
So
into
that means she's having contraction. We
Yes,
should come and
yes.
celebrate contraction.
Jesus Christ.
No, now the 23rd.
The 23rd, yes.
Here.
Yes.
Now we are celebrating Mary's contraction. Wow.
There will be no sitting down that day.
Everybody will be standing.
Everybody will be standing. Yes.
How about people that come from far?
Those ones that will be on stage, like you, people like you that will be on stage, will be standing. Everybody else will be sitting down in this place.
Wow. No problem.
So you will also be arrested for that day.
No problem.
Because you know when you say DSS, you will be arrested that day.
No problem. No problem.
You are happy to be arrested.
I'll make myself available. I'll be.
No.
If it is to come and celebrate. If it's to come and celebrate contraction, yes, he doesn't mind.
Yes, I don't mind. We'll celebrate contraction.
How do you celebrate contraction?
Is this thing that they do now, gender reveal.
Gender reveal.
Yeah, for Jesus.
What's that?
Because Jesus is a boy. That's the day they are doing. Is he a boy or a girl? Oh, we know he's a boy. But yeah, he's a boy. Yeah, it's more like that's how to celebrate contraction. Me, I celebrated contraction now. That's how I had my first son.
How did you celebrate it?
Because I practice. My wife had we don't have time. I'll have told you people's story today.
We have 1 minute.
We have 1 minute. Let me see if I can say. My wife had, when we were about to have our first son, so the doctor said hold something comfortable, and I gave her my hand to hold. That's when I realized that my wife is stronger than me. She's stronger than all the bouncer they are using in Lagos. The way she squeezed my hand with my ring finger, so the way she squeezed it, I could not now feel on my hand again. For the first time, I felt like the hand was not my own. So what I was coming out of my head, they think it's the baby that is making me cry. No, I don't care about the baby. I care about my hand. Because God will say, what did you do with your hand? Not what did you do with your baby. She get. So after that, I now said I'll not give my wife my hand again. She now say, babe, guess what? We have a surprise. I said, what's the surprise? Is it television? She said, no. Is it this? She said, no. I said, what is it? She said, we are having another baby. And I've not paid for the first one finished. So my second baby is like, we born her on credit.
Please, let's continue the rest on December 23 here on Channels Television.
She's doing well on credit.
Wait, please, pause. Let him pause. Don't let him continue.
Thank you very much.
Gregory, Nigerian comedian, known as Larry J. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you for having me.
And see you on December 23.
Yeah.
Before December 25.
Oh, no,
yeah.
the show. Oh, yeah. Okay, the 25. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Christmas Day. You said I should be using Christmas Day.
The second day of Christmas.
The middle Christmas.
The middle. Okay. All right. Sorry.
December 25th.
Thank you very
December
much.
23, he said we'll celebrate contraction day.
Mary's contraction.
And then on December 25, we'll now celebrate the birth.
Yes. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday morning with us. We'll see you again next month with another edition. I'm Alera, wishing you all the best.
Please, go and watch these guys, whatever, on Instagram. I don't even know what to say. Please have a wonderful rest of your weekend. MC Larry J, yes. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'm Ayo Makinde. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.